Hi guys, this is lesson 7.6. I can compare fractions with unlike denominators. So, we're going to compare two fractions, 5/6 and 2/3. But those two fractions have two different denominators. One has a 6 and one has a 3. So you can use a number line to compare these two fractions. On the first number line, I see 5/6 is right here. On the second number line, I see 2/3. So clearly, 5/6 is greater than 2/3. So one way to do it is to use a number line. But number lines are time-consuming and they're not always precise. So there is a better way to do it. And that would be to use common denominators and make equivalent fractions. So let me show you what I'm talking about. So here we have two fractions, 7/8 and 3/4. They have two different denominators. So what I'm going to do is find a common denominator. So we have 8 and we have 4. So I'm going to list or count by my multiples of 8. 8, 16, 24. Then I'm going to count by 4. 4, 8, 12, 16, 20, 24. Now I'm going to look and see which numbers they have in common. So I have an 8, 16, 24. So I'm going to use the least common denominator. So 8 is the least. So I'm going to make equivalent fractions. So 8 was our least common denominator. Okay, 7/8 already has an 8 as a denominator, so it's going to stay the same, 7/8. 3/4, we're now going to make an equivalent fraction. So I know 4 times 2 is 8. What I do to the bottom, I do to the top. 3 times 2 is 6. Now I have common denominators. 7/8 is bigger than 6/8. Therefore, 7/8 is bigger than 3/4 because 3/4 is equivalent to 6/8. Let's look at another example. Here we have 7/10 and 5/8. We have two different denominators, a 10 and an 8. So I'm just going to list some common or some multiples. So 10, 20, 30, 40. Now I'm going to count by 8s. 8, 16, 24, 32, 40. So the first number I see in common is 40. So in this case, I have to make two sets of equivalent fractions. So I'm going to say 7/10 equals so many 40ths. And I'm going to say 5/8 equals so many 40ths. Over here, 10 times 4 is 40. What I do to the bottom, I do to the top. So 7 times 4 is 28. So I have 28 40ths. Now for our 5/8. I know 8 times 5 is 40. So what I do to the bottom, I do to the top. 5 times 5 is 25. Now I can easily compare. If I have 28/40, that's going to be bigger than 25/40. So therefore 7/10 is greater than 5/8. Let's try one more. Here we have 2/5 and 7/10. So we have 5 as a denominator and 10. So this one, if you know your multiples and factors, it's a lot easier. So if I count by 5s, I know 5, 10. If I count by 10s, well, I can stop at 10 because I see they both have 10 in common. So I can quickly make my equivalent fractions. So 2/5 equals so many tenths, and 7/10 equals so many tenths. So 5 times 2 is 10. What I do to the bottom, I do to the top. 2 times 2 is 4. 10 times 1 is 10, so 7 times 1 is 7. I can clearly see 7/10 is greater than 4/10. So that is how you use common denominators and equivalent fractions to compare fractions that have unlike denominators. Definitely is faster and much more precise than drawing out number lines or drawing a picture. Okay? Today, you learned how to compare fractions with unlike denominators.